All right, we're going to spend the next hour in an unusual place, the mind of one of America's most interesting and neglected artists of the 1920s, Willard Robison. Willard Robison was from Missouri, as were so many very great musicians in jazz history. He was born in 1894, although I wrote 1984 on my That's strangely close to my birthday. In Shelbina, Missouri. His father was a farmer. It's often said that his father was a preacher, though I don't believe there's actually any evidence of that, aside from some newspaper articles that were pretty poorly researched. Anyhow, he was primarily a self-taught musician. In the 1930s, I found a very interesting article in Radio Stars magazine where they talk about Willard's life and history, and he tells a lot of sort of possibly fantastical stories about how his father disapproved of his music career and bought him a piano after he really begged him to purchase one for him, and he started to learn music, and then his dad got pissed off and sold the piano, and Willard came home from the farm one day or whatever, and there was no piano, and he was very sad. But anyway, I'm not sure if that's actually a true story for dramatic effect in this article about his life. The whole article was a bit much, but possibly interesting in some historical fact. Anyhow, Willard spent a lot of time in the Midwest. He went from Missouri over to Kansas, spent some time in Texas. I found a bunch of dates of appearances. Very early on, he formed this band called the Deep River Orchestra. It was started around 1917. I found mention of him in Kansas in 1919, in Denver in 1920. Kind of interesting. He spent quite a bit of time in Denver, evidently, and his daughter, Jolene, was actually born in Denver, apparently at the time of this massive flood in 1921, where he was stranded across the mountain range and couldn't get there until a few days after she was born. Not long after that, he seems to have made his way to Oklahoma City in 1921, and then sometime, a couple of years thereafter, he was playing in Omaha, and Paul Whiteman heard his music, and was immediately enthralled by his unique compositional style and his sort of aesthetic, which blended a lot of different things: religious influence, music of a very impressionistic nature. I think it fits well with the Eastwood Lane that Andy played for us earlier. It's very evocative music that he talks a lot about open spaces, about the West, about landscapes, and so there's a lot of elements in here. It's very unique. Anyway, Whiteman was captivated, brought him to New York in 1925 to work for him, and he did some arrangements and compositions for the Whiteman Orchestra, including Paul Whiteman's radio theme song, Peaceful Valley. We're going to play Peaceful Valley now in the published arrangement by Ferd Grove, Paul Whiteman's pianist, who also orchestrated Rhapsody in Blue, among many other things. So here we go with Peaceful Valley. Well, I was first introduced to the music of Willard Robison by none other than Colin Hancock, of course, who, through his extensive historical research and record collecting, has unearthed many important and interesting treasures. And this piece that we're about to play now was one that Colin put up on YouTube a while back, and it immediately caught my attention. It's just Willard Robison himself playing piano and singing. He made at least 25 or more, maybe 30 records of himself, solo, piano, and vocals. And his vocal style was really unusual for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's very soft, which is interesting because a lot of these records were made like in 1926, not long after recording started using the microphone. Before that, of course, he had to sing the acoustic horn and project, you know. So he was very astute with the new technology of the microphone. It's reminiscent of some other sort of popular singers of the 20s, including Art Gillen, the whispering pianist, but it's also a lot more less showy, and it's very sort of honest and sincere singing. And his compositions as well are, as you were going to start to hear, very sort of fragmented in a way that I think is very unique. He has like one idea or two per composition, and they keep recurring at different points throughout the song. Not necessarily in a standard form, 16 bars here and then a repeat, but like the ideas flow, you know, whatever the sort of main motif idea of the song is, flows throughout the song. And that's something that I think comes out especially well in these solo records. So Mike Davis is going to sing for us now this beautiful song, New Hampshire Highway. All right, I'm going to turn this over to Colin Hancock to give us a little more info on Robison's fascinating recording career, and then we're going to play some of his American Suite.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It's such an honor to be a part of this set. You know, about a year ago, as Andrew mentioned, I put up a bunch of Willard Robison Pathé and Perfect recordings up on YouTube, just a bunch that just weren't available to hear. I started collecting them when I heard about Robison's time in Texas, and I kind of got interested in this group that he led, the Deep River Orchestra, because there were a lot of musicians from out in what they call the territories, out kind of west of the Mississippi, that were a part of the band. Such notables include Frank Trumbauer, was a member of the Deep River Orchestra in St. Louis for a time, and Jack Teagarden was also a member of the Deep River Orchestra out in the territories, and he made, I believe, his first record with Willard Robison in New York. So around 1925, when Paul Whiteman brought Robison to New York City, he was kind of like an additional act with the Whiteman group. He guested playing piano on a few recordings for Victor with the Whiteman Orchestra and with the Virginians, and there's a couple of sides, like an arrangement of St. Louis Blues and a few things where members of his band were with the Whiteman Orchestra, like a big, even more augmented Whiteman Orchestra, if you can imagine that. And at the same time, the Pathé Company, which was actually an American operation, it was not owned by the French Pathé Company. That's a misconception about the American Pathé label. They were going through a major shift in their management, and they were looking for new bands and new artists to kind of fill the catalog. And with Robison in New York and his Deep River Orchestra, members of that group in New York, they brought him on. So they became the de facto studio sort of house band for Pathé from around 1926 to 1928. The most famous of those sessions is the Chicago Loopers with Dick Spiderbeck, Frank Trumbauer, Don Murray, all those great musicians. But as I said, Jack Teagarden guested on some. I think Jimmy Dorsey is on a few. Vic Burton, you know, and we're going to play some of that music. So he recorded a lot of commercial material, but also a lot of original material. And one of the most amazing sets of music that he recorded was a series very much in the style of kind of Rhapsody in Blue or other modernist music of the time, called the American Suite. And so we're going to play now a few movements from that, starting with Darby Hicks.
All right, here we go. One, two, one, two, three. Emma Fisk on the hoedown. All right, that was Darby Hicks' American Suite Number 2. Now we're going to go back to American Suite Number 1, which is very much in the mold of some Gershwin influence here. After Hours. Ready? Nope. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Wrong instrument. Yep. 1, 2, 1, 2, Thank you very much. You may have noticed an increasingly interesting selection of low brass instruments occurring down the other side of the stage. I'm going to read you a review of Willard Robison's Deep River Orchestra at Club Rodeo in New York on October 7th, 1925. If proof were needed, Willard Robison and his Deep River Orchestra established indisputably the fallacy of the bromide. There's nothing new under the sun. From out of the Southwest, this aggregation brings with it a brand of semi-symphonic, withal doggy blues that is as new as the next minute. Kenneth Moyer, who quadruples in French horn, saxophone, clarinet, and bass clarinet, is as finished as a musician that can be found in these parts. He performs the amazing feat of rendering hot breaks, tricks, etc. on a French horn, and does it as capably as though his instrument were a cornet. At the euphonium is Lope Jarman. Suffice it to say that what Confrey is to the piano, Hank to the ukulele, and Rudy Wiedoeft is to the saxophone, this lad is to the euphonium. So, clearly, Robison had an affinity for unusual orchestration in the brass section, and this was going on around these times. These records were made in 1926 and 7. Also before that, I also found advertisements and reviews of his appearances even in the late teens with euphonium and other things. So we should also give a special shout out to Phil Rutherford, who has procured this euphonium for TJ to play.
Yay!
And also to Michael McQuaid, who has brought his amazing, beautiful mellophone from London for Colin to play. We're going to feature both of them simultaneously now on American Suite number 8, which is actually a composition of W.C. Handy, arranged by Robison, and it's called The Harlem Blues.
Oh, unison, yeah, right.
Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. One more movement from the American Suite, and this is one called Mobile Mud. Number 6, if you are counting. There's 8 in total, we're only playing 4. Stay tuned for more on that later. One, two, 1, 2, 3. give us another great playing the role of the original trumpeter Walter Halshouse, who was another Texan, and Lorenzo Baldasso on the clarinet. And of course, Colin Hancock on the hot euphonium, mellophone right there. All right, we're going to play one more of the duet tunes. Well, actually solo, but since I'm not a singer, I've enlisted Colin to sing another one of the Willard Robison solos. And this is a beautiful thing called Truthful Parson Brown. As I mentioned, religion was a strong streak in Willard Robison's music. After he died in his house, they found manuscripts for 150 spirituals that he had written. He did write a lot of songs about religion and about the devil. Some of his most famous songs that sort of were more popular in the 20s were in this vein. So this is one of those, entitled Truthful Parson Brown.
Truthful Parson Brown, living in a southern town, for talking good and doing good, he was known around. He had a most peculiar way of preaching on the Sabbath day, on an organ, soft and low, you could hear him play. Brothers and sisters, listen to Truthful Parson Brown. You'll never get ahead if you try to keep your brother down. Too much I, me and mine, that's the only sin that we gotta get behind. Stop squirming and pay more attention to my syncopated sermon. Brothers and sisters, listen to Truthful Parson Brown. A lot of talking will never win the crowd. While I practice what I preach, I'll give a sermon without speech. Brothers and sisters, listen to Truthful Parson Brown. Stop squirming and pay more attention to my syncopated sermon. Brothers and sisters, listen to Truthful Parson Brown. A lot of talking will never win the crowd. If you don't like the music of this song, just listen to the words, 'cause the words ain't wrong. Brothers and sisters, listen to Truthful Parson Brown. You'll never get ahead if you try to keep your brother down.
So as you can start to see, we're sort of making the case here for Willard Robison as the original singer-songwriter, and I think it's really fascinating to hear this style. To me, it's just, if you hear the original records, it's so modern. It really does sound like, like it could totally fit in the modern day. It doesn't sound old-fashioned at all. It's pretty amazing. And I think he also sort of mastered the hipster, ironic song ending. Where the song just stops, which I feel like in Portland in the 2000s indie rock scene, like it was hip to just end songs without an ending or whatever. Like singer-songwriters do that all the time. But these endings, as you've heard as well, are just also abrupt and a little bit I don't know. I don't know if it's ironic, but I think there's some sort of hipster statement being made there. So there's my case for Willard as the original singer-songwriter. All right, we've got a couple of we've got one more stock arrangement to play for you now, and then we'll play something a little more jazzy. This is a beautiful song called "Lonely Acres in the West." As I mentioned, a lot of Robison's music is about the West, which of course, to him is the Midwest. I'm from Oregon, which is the real West, you know. But I think when he talks about the West, it's more like plains and things, not so much huge mountains. Although he lived in Denver, so there you go. I mean, whatever. This is a song which was arranged by Arthur Lang. He worked for Cameo Records in the 20s. He had an orchestra in 1923 that got bought wholesale by Roger Wolf-Kahn and became the Roger Wolf-Kahn Orchestra, which of course you heard Michael McQuaid doing a wonderful version of last year. He published this arrangement in 1926, and it was recorded by Frank Garenti in Geneva, Switzerland, in the same year, and also recorded by Robison as a piano solo in this style that we've been hearing. So we've combined the stock arrangement with a bit of the solo version as well, and Mike Davis is going to sing it for us again. And special thanks to Colin Hancock and Vince Giordano for procuring the stock. Here we go with "Lonely Acres in the West." One, two, 3. an arrangement of mine now, taking a little bit of a cue from Arthur Lang, who incorporated some elements of Robison's piano solo, I think, in that stock arrangement. I made a new arrangement of another one of his compositions that he recorded for solo called Deep Elm, and this is a more well-known song about Deep Elm, the black jazz and entertainment neighborhood in Dallas, which was a really vibrant musical center in Dallas in the 1920s. And this is sort of Robison's response to other songs about great places like Broadway and Beale Street, as you'll hear. This song was recorded as a solo, and Robison also recorded it on piano with Henry Bussey's band. So I've incorporated a bit of that arrangement in here, as well as some elements of the piano solo. So I hope you enjoy Deep Elm. One, two, 1, 2, 3.
You heard him sing about Beale Street, way down in Memphis, Tennessee. You've heard him say that Broadway was the only place
We've got one more tune for you, and it's going to be the classic blues number, Frankie and Johnny. But for that, another hand for these great musicians helping me bring this very unusual music back to life. It's been a real fun time working on these charts over the past year, and thanks guys for doing such a great job. This is Lukács on tenor sax, Lorenzo Baldasso on alto and clarinet, Lars Frank on alto and clarinet, and cornet and mini great vocals for Mike Davis. On hot mellophone, cornet and vocals, Colin Hancock. On euphonium and trombone, TJ Müller. And the Fisk on violin. And the C-ball on percussion. Come Sked to the road. And Volp on banjo. So there's a lot of things happening in the world of Willard Robison, at least in my tiny universe. Colin and I are working on a new project, reissuing a bunch of his records, both piano solos and recordings by the Deep River Orchestra. So stay tuned for that, which should come out in 2026 or 2027. But we've been collecting a bunch of records, and if anybody has the 78 of After Hours, either here or on YouTube later on, please contact me. We're in need of a clean copy. So that reissue will be coming out with a much more comprehensive look at the music of Willard Robison, a criminally underrated hero of American music, in my opinion. And we're going to finish off here with Frankie and Johnny. This is recorded by the Deep River Orchestra in 1927, featuring Vic Burton on drums, just a few months before the famous Chicago Bluegrass section. Any other information I need to tell you? If you want more information on Robison, I have a lot of notes, so come and find me later. Special thanks to various important people who have made this possible, one of whom is here, Steve Padgett, without whom we wouldn't have some of these records to transcribe, so thanks to Steve. And Joe Lauro, Matt Rivera, and Vince Giordano all have been important in getting these records and scores into our hands. And one more special hand for Colin Hancock for introducing me to the music of Willard Robison. Here goes Frankie and Johnny. Hope you enjoy, and we'll see you for more great music very shortly. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Totally different.